happened? You would have been the one in trouble this time. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back from the weekend. It's Monday, March 27th. 8-game basketball slate right here on the Stochastic Strategy Show presented by Prize Picks. I'm Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D, joined by Adam Scherer, Ship My Money DFS. Filling in for Josh today, matter of fact. He's sick again, so apparently his whole Vegas vacation was ruined because he had 103 fever.
Yeah, he was telling me that, and apparently not COVID. So that kind of sucks because, like, at least with COVID, you don't have to go to the doctor and you know what's wrong with you.
Is COVID still a thing?
I mean, I got it a month ago.
Huh. That's interesting. I wonder what it is. Was he getting the flu in almost April?
I don't know. I never followed up to see, like, if he knew what was wrong. He just told me that he was, like, dying on Saturday.
Hopefully he's all right, because that sucks.
He did message me this morning, so he's at least breathing.
Yeah. He let us know that he's off tomorrow. So
okay.
Yeah. Well, he should be back. The process will be back, by the way. He was on vacation and he was sick. Jacob said sinus infection. Dude, I get a sinus infection every year, but I get no fever from it. I just get
fever is the weird part.
That's the kicker. Yeah. I get wiped out from those sinus infections, though. They suck, dude.
Yeah. Dude,
like
fevers are almost like, obviously, like, fevers make you feel awful, but at least it's like I don't know, like reinforcement that you're actually sick. Like when you have like a sinus infection and stuff, you just feel like a bitch because you're just like, I feel awful, but like there's nothing that I can like prove to like tell you I feel awful.
Well, I mean, I could show you just a swimming pool full of green snot. Sure. I could do that. Yeah. I'll tell you this though. You're gonna think I'm crazy. I don't think I've ever had a fever.
What?
Like, clearly I have, but I can't remember the last time in my adult life, like since I have a memory. I can't remember the last time I've registered a fever.
Yeah, I mean, I get them rarely, but when I get them, I get them.
Even when I had COVID, I didn't have a fever. Yeah,
I mean, COVID, the first time I got it, I think I did like the first night. I didn't even take my temperature, though. The most recent time, though, I got up to like 102.5.
Yeah. Obviously, I've had fevers. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Whenever I get real sick, I'm like, I definitely have a fever. I check it and baseline. I don't know. But yeah, Josh will be back. We're rocking here. 8 games. Happy to have you guys with us. Hope you had a great weekend. We had a fun weekend over in the Chalkboard app, by the way. If you're not there yet, we're up almost 700 members. We just started this. Shout out to all of you who joined it too. The app is totally free. El Negro Loco's in there. I know that much. There's a bunch of people in there already. The app is free. If you're into sports betting, there's DFS talk in there as well. All the picks are free. All the conversation, always going to be free. It's not like, oh yeah, in a month. No, it's always going to be free. Come join us, man. Hang out. It's been a lot of fun. And you know, the strange thing there, and I'm serious, you look at DFS communities, Discord, Slack, whatever it is, other chart boards, very odd thing is it's actually a supportive community. Like, everybody's cool and likes each other. And that's something that you can kind of get behind. So link is down there in the description. Download the app, use that link. It'll take you right to us. Greg's in there. Josh, when he's not sick anymore, is in there. I'll be in there. Got our picks every day, hanging out. Everybody's sweating, enjoying the games together, commiserating when we lose, celebrating when we win. I promise you'll enjoy it for sure.
So it's a supportive environment where everybody is nice to each other. Why the hell do you guys keep trying to get me to join?
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, like, you're just going to ruin it.
Well, to be fair, I only asked you once.
Yeah, but I feel like Eric has too.
Eric's not in it. Eric's doing the Discord thing.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah,
then I guess he hasn't.
But you'd probably ruin that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you would. I think you would climb in there and it'd be like one of those things where I was telling Josh or Ben, I think it was, about a study that they did where they get a bunch of people together. Then you have like the one guy is the participant who doesn't know what's going on. Everybody else is part of the experiment. And they ask them a question, right? And it's a very obvious answer. And the whole room goes first. And then the person who is the unknowing, the unwitting participant, they all give the wrong answer, but they all agree on the wrong answer. So this guy obviously knows it's wrong, like clearly wrong, but still answers with them because it's just the whole pack mentality, right? Like you don't want to be the idiot. You don't want to be the one that's dumb. I think you would come in there and you'd be like, man, everyone's so cool in here. I just don't want to be an asshole. I think it would sway you, man.
No, in that situation, I'm just walking in and telling them all that they're idiots.
But why? But they're everybody's being cordial and nice and supportive. Why come in and ruin such a good thing?
That's why I'm not.
Good call. At least you know yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk some basketball. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We've been crushing the likes lately, so I appreciate you guys for that. Leave a comment down below if you haven't done so yet. And yes, Sven, the control group. Yes. If you haven't done so yet. And if you're listening on podcast, we know you're out there. Leave a rating, review, subscribe to the pod, tell your friends, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys for it up front. All right. So Dallas and Indy, man, how about Luka coming out and saying, by the way, this is a pick 'em, or at least it was when I made this run sheet a little while ago, 234 total. How about Luka coming out and talking about how frustrated he is? And then like with off the court stuff, they've just dropped back-to-back games to the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, no idea if like any of that stuff's actually related to Kyrie, but I do enjoy the narrative that it is. It just makes it really entertaining. But yeah, it's crazy that they are like missing the play-in game right now.
Yeah, it's really, really, it's shocking, really, because didn't they make it? What year was it where they beat Phoenix and literally Phoenix emptied the bench basically at the start of the second half? Like it was a 50-point game or something. You remember that? Was that 2 years ago?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to think because Dallas made a decent run. I thought one of the past couple of years, at least into the second round, at least into the semifinals of the conference, right?
I don't remember any NBA postseasons.
Man, you're a real joy. All right.
You're sounding way too much like Josh right now.
Bet365. Usually I can bring out the good side of you. It's my
I just don't like. I have a horrible memory for postseasons. Like what happened?
S&P said they made the conference finals last year. Okay, did they? And then they would have lost to. Because I always mix it up. Last year was it Phoenix? No, last year Warriors beat Boston, or Boston beat Warriors beat Boston. The year before that, Milwaukee beat Phoenix. Yeah, okay, that's what it was.
I will take your word for it.
That's what happened. All right. Anyway, right. Okay, you guys are right. And yes. Who asked that question? Yeah, Jacob, Bet365 promo, the bet $1, get $365. Yes, that's still available in Virginia, Ohio, Colorado, and New Jersey. You literally deposit $10, bet $1 of that, and get $365 in bonus bets. It's insane, and it's real, and it's still there. Yeah, link is at the top of the description. Jordan can throw that in chat as well. But yeah, Jacob, that's still out there. All right. Well, anyway, no Luka today with the tech. So he's suspended for this game. Let's just dive into it first with Dallas, assuming Kyrie and everybody else is good to go. Pick him in a good spot against Indy, despite how bad Dallas has been playing lately. I think we can find a couple pieces here now.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Luka being out obviously opens up a lot. It opens up playing time, but also rebounding, assists, usage. It's all there. And you should see Kyrie take a nice step forward. He's 9,800. He played about 35 and a half minutes yesterday. Assuming he plays, I expect him, to be up there around 37, 38 minutes without Luka taking on a bigger role. Christian Wood at 6,700 is going to look decent. The playing time for him is always inconsistent. You can't totally trust it, but without Luka, you do need more offense. And so it does make sense that you can see a little bit more Christian Wood playing. We know he's a very good point per minute guy. He's 6,700. He is pulling 23% ownership right now, which is a little bit scary just given the, inconsistent playing time, but I do expect him to play a bit more without Luka. Kleba, Hardaway, both look fine. Hardaway looks a little bit better without Luka as well.
Yeah, I guess the only question is how many minutes do we see him play without Luka? Christian Wood. I mean, because we saw a few games where he got a lot of run, but there were a lot of moving parts. Like Hardaway was out in some, Irving and Luka were out. What's the most recent game we have with Irving and Hardaway in and Luka out?
Hang on. So
go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I would expect like 24-ish minutes from Wood.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to find.
I just thought there was a game recently where I thought, and I could be wrong, the Irving and Hardaway were in and Doncic was out, like this month, but maybe not. All right. Well, we'll see, because we got him at 23% ownership right now. You'd want him to get
March 20th, I think. 20th and 17th. Wood played 29 minutes and 34 minutes.
Irving and Hardaway were both in for those games?
Assuming that the stat news.
That's what I'm saying. That's what you looked up is all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's significant. I mean, that's only 4 and 5 games ago. So if that's the case, then Christian Wood could look really good in a spot like this.
Yeah, the most recent one was against Memphis, where Wood played 29 and a half. He was in the closing lineup along with Green, Kleba, Irving, and Bullock. They didn't close Hardaway in that one.
Okay. I feel like Hardaway got hurt in that one, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. They've had so many moving parts that I honestly can't remember.
Yeah. The one before that against the Lakers, Wood closed also. Hardaway closed. It was Wood, Hardaway, Kleba, Kyrie, and Bullock. So no Josh Green in that one.
Okay. Anything else for Dallas right now?
No, I mean, there's more minutes available for Jaden Hardy. There's more production available for Josh Green, but they're both expensive enough. I wouldn't expect to really be getting to them here.
On Indiana, it's a little bit difficult because, this team has no real incentive to play their guys unless they have to, in terms of like them being on the floor. Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner are questionable. Duarte's out. So if Turner and Halliburton sit, this team looks a whole lot different than it does right now. But Halliburton down to 9,100. He's getting a little bit of ownership today. I think it makes some sense, just assuming that he's going to play decent minutes. In the 2 games that he's returned, though, 29 minutes, blowout loss to Boston, lost 2 days ago by 13, played 32 minutes. So how many minutes should we be projecting for Halliburton in close games right now? Do you have any concerns that this late in the season he's just not going to be pushed?
Maybe a little bit, but I mean, even in their most recent game, you got 32 minutes from him. He lost 2 minutes and change to garbage time at the end. I think expecting 33, 34 minutes from him is still reasonable based on what we've seen.
Do you like anybody for Indy?
Halliburton at 9,100. There's never any shortage of good guard plays, and we already talked about Kyrie on the other side of this game, but 12% ownership coming into Halliburton, about a 14% optimal percentage right now. Certainly don't mind getting to him at 9,100. Beyond that, everything kind of depends on injury statuses. If Turner is in at 6,600, he looks fine. But if he's out, you're likely getting another start from Isaiah Jackson at only 3,900. In their most recent game, Jackson started, played 23 minutes. Jalen Smith played 25. You're typically getting, some sort of split from those 2 guys. Wouldn't play them together, but if Turner's out, it does open up value in both of those guys. Mathurin will look a bit better. If Halliburton's out, McConnell looks better. If Halliburton's out, McConnell's down to 5,100. So he has the potential to look very good if Halliburton sits.
Yeah, right. And that's really what it comes down to. We have plenty of time throughout the day to figure this one out. I don't think we need to drill down into it too far, but this Dallas defense has been atrocious lately. So if you have some guys that sit today, it could definitely open some things up. You look at Milwaukee and Detroit, 16.5-point road favorites. If that doesn't illustrate what time of year we're in, I don't know what does. 16.5-point road favorites.
17.5 now.
Is it 17.5?
On Pinnacle, at least. Okay.
I put the lines together a little bit earlier. Nothing's going to change dramatically, but 16, 17.5, 233 total. Bogdanovich, Burks, Stewart still out. Magruder, Joseph questionable. But with Milwaukee, I guess the thing here is, number one, you're massive favorites. I do think there is some risk of this game getting slightly out of control. Holiday isn't crazy price. Neither is Middleton. Giannis is down to 11.6. So do you think maybe there's some tournament value here that isn't being represented in the ownership projections?
Yeah, I think so, because it is a good matchup and there is that blowout risk, like you said, but you're not getting much ownership coming into this team. And if Detroit's able to just hang around, even if it's just like a consistent, 12, 13 point game, if they hang around, the Milwaukee ends up having to play fourth quarter minutes. None of these price tags are terrible. 11.6 on Giannis is fine. 7,700 for Middleton, 7,600 for Drew. Those are both fine. Lopez is back down to 6,400. You know, the type of upside he comes with because of blocks. So any of those guys, you know, at modest ownership in tournaments are pretty appealing, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. None of the Giannis has been back long enough now where Holiday isn't close to 9K. So you can actually justify some of these spots, but mostly a tournament team for you outside of Giannis.
Yeah.
Would you say that? Yeah.
Yes.
On the Detroit side, though, I'm not really sure what direction to take here. Killian Hayes is just a terrible shooter, and this is going to be a brutal spot. Maybe these guys close in a blowout like they did the other day when they got walloped by, I think it was I can't remember. Toronto. Was it Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got walloped by Toronto. A lot of the starters still closed the game. So that's kind of encouraging, a little bit of protection there in the event that you're looking to get to some of these guys. Jalen Duren's center eligibility only, but he's 5K. Where do we turn to for Detroit? I mean, if anywhere today.
Yeah, it's a tough team to really want to get to. You do have a 5K price tag on Jalen Duren, which is relatively appealing. He's going to be splitting 48 minutes with James Wiseman at center. Last game against Toronto, it ended up being 24.5 for Duren, 23.5 for Wiseman. But, you know, you're going to get some games where it's 28 Wiseman, 20 Duren. But he at least gives you upside at 5K. He's pulling 11.5% ownership. No real problem with that. Other than that, though, I don't think there's much I want to get to from this team. There's just enough good plays on this slate that I don't really want to be getting to Detroit.
Do you want to get to the Houston Rockets today against the New York Knicks? Speaking of another big spread, 12.5-point dogs, 230 total. The only relevant, I mean, if it's pertinent at all, news here is Jayshawn Tate is questionable. The rest of Houston, as it stands right now at 10:20 Eastern time, is good to go. I don't know. Pace down spot, what's the total in this game? It can't be 230. So yeah, it's not terrible, but is Houston a tournament team for you today, or are we getting away from that mindset that we've had over the past couple of weeks?
I think it's very similar to the other Houston spots we've had recently. You know, we had them as like 12 or 13-point dogs against Memphis the other day, for example. Şengün at 6,900, Jalen Green at 7,200, Kevin Porter Jr. at 7,800. Those price tags are pretty much correct in that you're not always getting a ton of minutes because they are massive dogs on the road. But if this game is competitive, you're still getting huge playing time from these guys. Even in their most recent loss to Cleveland, they lost by 17 points. You ended up getting 2 minutes and 20 seconds of garbage time, but 33 minutes for Şengün, 35 for Green, almost 37 for Kevin Porter Jr. Like, they're just playing them such big minutes that if they hang in the game, the ceiling is very high, because if they hang in the game, for one, it probably means some of them are playing well. And then two, they're getting huge minutes. So at low ownership, they are still interesting to me, but it's not like you're going to go into this slate saying, oh yeah, I'm jamming in Houston, I feel great about it. But knowing how many minutes these guys will play if they are playing well and keep this game close certainly makes them interesting when the highest owned guys on the team are Porter and Green at 8%, Şengün's at 4%. You know, any of those guys give you massive tournament upside.
Yeah, they do. At the price points, assuming Silas is going to keep giving him a boatload of minutes. I get it. Donnell James said 233.5 total is crazy for this game, talking about Milwaukee, Detroit. Yeah, dude, but the Bucks have a 125 implied total today, which is massive. 125 implied total. So most of that's coming from them. On the Knicks side, Jalen Brunson questionable. So this could definitely change some things. What's Quickly's up to 65 just because Brunson's been in and out of the rotation. If Brunson sits, would you go back to Quickly at this price point, just knowing how many minutes Thibodeau has given him when, like, remember we were talking about this the other day, he averaging over 40 minutes per game in regulation when Brunson's out?
Yeah, and I was a little bit concerned. Like, I obviously thought he was a good play last time out, but I was a little bit concerned because in the most recent games prior to the last one that Brunson had been out, we had seen Miles McBride play actual minutes. And as a result, Quickly had played like 31 minutes and 34 minutes. And so it was like, well, if he's going to play 34, 35 minutes, he's a good play, but he's not, you know, the same level of play that he had been. But then in this most recent game, McBride played 6 minutes in the first half, didn't step on the floor in the second half. We got a rotation looking much more like what we were getting earlier in the year when Brunson was out, where Emmanuel quickly stepped in, played 41.8 minutes in regulation. He did not leave the floor in the second half. This price tag, especially in a good matchup against Houston, if he's starting, I am perfectly fine going right back to Emmanuel quickly.
Like you said, too, a great spot as well. So all the stars would kind of align if Brunson sits. If Brunson's in, what about Brunson at 7,800?
Yeah, if Brunson's in, I like him at that price tag as well. Assuming he's not going to be limited. I mean, when he came back from whatever his previous injury was a few games ago, he played 32, 37, and 37 minutes. This is a different injury. I believe his hand or his thumb or something. But I'm expecting if he's back, he's just playing big minutes. And at that price tag in this matchup, I'd certainly like it.
Would you want to get to Randall here at all? I'm just looking now at how the top tier of plays breaks down for today. You have Giannis, Joel Embiid against Jokic. Lillard's probably, there's no chance he plays. I can't imagine he plays today. Sabonis, who's been a monster. That game probably has a massive total. I haven't looked yet since I typed up the run sheet. Booker, Irving with no Luka. Like, I don't think it's impossible to get to Randall against this Houston team, but there's a lot of competition in the 9 and 10K ranges. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. And to answer your kind of question, 239 total in the Kings game.
239. I bet that closes north of 240.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah. I mean, Randall, if you get there, great. He's pulling 11% ownership, 10% chance of being optimal. All of that's fine. Like you said, it's just, if you say like, oh, Julius Randle's like a must play or something like that, then like you said, there's just a bunch of other guys that you're implying you don't want to play. So the 10% makes sense to me, but it's certainly a good spot for him. You should get 35, 36 minutes. 9,300 is a completely reasonable price tag with or without Brunson.
How else do you want to approach the Knicks then with Brunson, Randle, and then of course quickly if Brunson's out?
So if Brunson is out, Grimes is sort of interesting at 4,500. We did see him play 38 minutes last game. He also was shooting the lights out, so got more playing time than he probably would have otherwise. But you can take some shots on him. Wouldn't expect a repeat, but the upside is there, I guess. Also, if Brunson's out, you're likely getting more playing time from the combination of Hart and Barrett, so they're going to look a bit better. If Brunson's in, I don't really like either one. But if he's out, you certainly have a path to 30 plus minutes from both of those guys. They both played just shy of 30 in the last game. But again, that was a game where Grimes played way more minutes than he normally does.
3 down, 5 to go. Looking at the Phoenix Suns today. DeAndre Ayton's expected back. Durant could return by Wednesday. That's the word on the street. We could have Kevin Durant back by Wednesday. They head into Utah with no Utah team that has no Clarkson, Sexton, Rudy Gay's been ruled out, and Lauri Markkanen is questionable. So we can dive into all that in a second. But with Phoenix laying 6.5 on the road here, Chris Paul at this price getting some ownership, 20% right now. Once you get past Paul, it's kind of tough because Devin Booker, who you and I were saying the other day, is always a great tournament option, just given the massive ceiling that he has and ability to rip off like 50 real points. But his price is at 10K now. That might be a little bit more prohibitive on a slate like this, although it is a good spot.
Yeah, it's very similar to just what we've seen with Booker in a lot of recent slates where he's pulling about 5% ownership, and he's difficult to get to just because you have a lot of strong options around him, and he's pretty much correctly priced, but he is such a good scorer, such a good shot maker that the ceiling is always there. So anytime you get Devin Booker in a situation where it is kind of difficult to get to him, there's appeal just because he can just single-handedly win you a slate, but not a priority just because of the price tag. Very appealing matchup though. 7,400 for Paul looks good. He's getting 20% ownership, which is probably a little bit aggressive, but no real issues with it. DeAndre Ayton, 7,400 as well, in a good spot. He's probable to play, so we should be getting him back. No issues getting to him at that price. He's only pulling 7% ownership, which we actually have being a little bit low.
Did you set that up in Stream Elements, Jordan? Using your time wisely over here. I love it. The Utah Jazz. The thing that kind of sucks about the Jazz is even when all of these guys are out, they're still one of those teams where when you click into whoever it is that's getting the start, you still don't feel great about it. It doesn't mean there wouldn't be value here. if Larkinen ends up sitting again. But like Agbaji, Fontecchio, Taylor Horton Tucker at this stage of the game is kind of whatever. Chris Dunn, all of these guys. If Markkanen sits, now that we're looking at some of these price points that have come up since the early injury reports back earlier or last week, what type of value do you think's actually get? Like Agbaji's almost $6,000 right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've been getting huge minutes from him, but that price tag, like you're saying, has certainly gotten expensive. If Markkanen is out, you get potentially a little bit more playing time from the combination of Horton Tucker and Dunn. Last game, you got 28 minutes from Horton Tucker, about 26 from Dunn. They were both essentially in the closing lineup. It makes Chris Dunn at 5,900 look somewhat appealing. Horton Tucker is a bit more expensive at 7K. Kessler always gives you a very high ceiling. Olynyk gives you a high ceiling, but he's also gotten expensive at 7,100. If Markkanen's in, this is a very difficult team to get to, except for probably playing some Markkanen at 9K. But if he's out, it's still not a team I really love. Like, it just opens up a little bit more Dunn, Horton Tucker, Olynyk, Agbaji if you want it, but it's still not like they're underpriced if he's out.
Dude, Kessler coming off that monster game too.
Yeah, huge game against Sacramento.
Shot 14 for 16 against the Kings.
Yeah, 31 actual points.
I know, which is just, I mean, listen, the absolute outlier for Walker Kessler. Not only does he need to make all of his shots, but he needs to take like 3 times as many as he normally does. It's a pretty tough team to get to. It really is. We can see what happens if Markkanen's out, but let me close Utah with this. Would you say even if Markkanen's out, would you say there are any priorities? Because I think it's Fontecchio is 4,900 and he had that one strong game. Outside of that, he's been pretty underwhelming from a per minute perspective. I don't know if anybody you look at and go, man, can't get away from this guy at their salary.
No, I don't think there's anybody that would be like drastically underpriced, even if Markkanen's out. These guys are pretty much priced for Markkanen to be out at this point, and then Markkanen himself is, maybe a little bit inexpensive.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep it rolling here. Philly and Denver. Before we do that, shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks, man. For those of you guys, especially in non-legal betting states, I mentioned the chalkboard app that we have earlier, the free one that you should join because we have fun. We give out free picks. We sweat together. We win money together. Greg's in there. Just dropped a pick right now. We had a good weekend too. But a lot of people in there that aren't in legal betting state, a lot of Californians, Texans, Neil's in there dropping prize picks and underdog cards and all that good stuff. So if you're not over at Prize Picks yet, you're getting a first match deposit bonus, 100% up to $100. That's one thing. Sick, right? Because if you put $100 in, your account's going to show 200. But you're also getting a free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum. Consider that for a second. With all the sports going on right now, baseball starting on Thursday, every game on Thursday in 3 days, okay? You have basketball still, lots of it. You have hockey. You have MMA, PGA, NASCAR. You still got a little college basketball left. You got XFL. You got tennis, like any sport you can think of. We got projections and we got the boom bust tools, the top stack tool, which by the way, top stack tool for baseball and the top pitchers tool. Adam would agree, some of the best tools out there. All of that stuff, totally free, 100% free, $120 value. You got to use the link in the description or in chat. Otherwise, we can't find you and honor that free month. But you're getting a free month of everything. Plus, all the tools you need to win at Prize Picks, you get included in that as well. You get the lineup generator too, the lineup builder, you name it, across the board, every sport, we got you covered. And if you want to get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, you can do that too. Free month. And over at Prize Picks, 100% first match deposit bonus up to $100. The good thing too about Prize Picks is you actually are going over to a site that's blowing up that people love, right? It's not just some shitty site where it's like, oh, we got to give you all these incentives to go over. No, Josh is doing videos every single day. Greg's filling in for him today and tomorrow, I think. But we have Prize Picks videos every day. They've been crushing that. You're just building lineups with player props, no juice on either side. Just take the over or the under. You can do 2 all the way up to 6. If you hit 6 of 6, you 25x. If you go with a 5-pick play, hear me out. This is important. If you're about to go over to Prize Picks, you should understand this. From an expected ROI perspective, the 5-pick flex play is your best bet. Also, if you hit 4 of 5, unlike a traditional parlay, you still 2x your entry. you still make money back if you hit 3 of 5. So the 5-pick flex play where you 10x if you hit all 5, but still 2x if you hit 4, still make money on 3, is the best way from an expected ROI standpoint to do it. We had a guy that worked for us at OddsShopper, put a full article out on that, and it was great, highlighted everything. So check it out. Prize Picks, sponsor of the strategy show, free month, everything on our site, plus $100 first match deposit bonus. Check it out. Links in the description and in chat. All right, let's keep it going here. We got, where are we at? Lost my place. All right, here we go. Philly and Denver. Philly, 5-point dogs. Joel Embiid, James Harden, questionable. I think Harden plays today. Could be wrong. But Adam, Doc Rivers said that last game, if it was the playoffs, he would definitely be out there. So my thinking was like sit him on the 2 legs of a back-to-back and play him today. But I'm just speculating.
Yeah, I think there's a decent chance he's back. I didn't expect him to play last game. I kind of do today. Yeah, I mean, if he's in, there's nothing that looks great here. Clearly, getting to Harden is fine. Getting to Embiid is fine. It should be a fun game to watch with Embiid going up against Jokic. But from a fantasy standpoint, when you have a fully priced Embiid at center with Harden in, it's just tough to get a lot of him when you have Jokic at the top as well. You also just have a bunch of mid-range guys that give you high ceilings. So, yeah, they're both going to be perfectly fine tournament plays, but relatively difficult to get to.
All right. Well, if everybody's in, is there anything else? Like, I guess Philly is just one of those really weird teams where with Harden being out, if he plays and if Embiid plays, like Maxi's almost 8K. Tobias Harris is 6,300 on DraftKings. Melton's 6,100. The whole team looks largely unappealing outside of some Embiid and Harden maybe in tournaments.
Yeah, it's kind of like Utah to an extent where we now have Harris, Maxey at these price tags that you need James Harden to be out. If he's out and you want to play some $7,700 Maxey or $6,300 Harris, that's fine. But assuming he's in, I don't have any interest in this team outside of Embiid and Harden because of those price tags coming up. And it's reflected in ownership as well. Nobody other than those two projected north of 1% owned right now.
Right. I'd go back to the well on Maxey for sure if Harden's out.
Yeah, no, like I'd have no problems with it. I think that the price tag, it's not like a broken price tag where you're just jamming it in, right. But it's still certainly a good play if Harden is out.
Yeah, he'd probably end up being like what, a 10, 13% play on an 8-game slate or something like that.
Yeah, probably around there. Like he's still competing with Chris Paul. He's competing with either Brunson or Quickly, depending on how that news breaks. There's a lot of guys in that price range, but he would be a good play.
Maxey's 77 on FanDuel as well.
Yeah, so relatively a little bit less expensive.
Right. Yeah, it's cheaper comparatively speaking. All right, Denver. We got Bruce Brown at 17% today, Adam.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't totally like get it.
That probably comes down.
Yeah, I mean, as we get more value, it'll come down. I understand it from the sense that like you're typically getting 26 to 28 minutes or so from Brown. He's not a bad point per minute guy. He does have guard and forward eligibility. So from that aspect, it makes sense. But I think it's very likely that by the time we get to the deeper dive or by the time we get to lock, you've probably had some other stuff open up to where Bruce Brown's not getting quite that much ownership.
Right. Yeah, he hasn't been bad. It's just not exactly a high ceiling player either. You're
right.
hoping.
Yeah, it's just one of those guys where like if he's actually going to be 15 to 20% owned, I don't really mind just losing the slate if Bruce Brown has a big game.
Yeah, exactly. But if you do have him, you'd be thrilled with 30 DraftKings points. I'll tell you that much.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like right now we have him projected just shy of 23 DraftKings points at 4,500. Like that's not, if he's going to be 17% owned, that's not something I'm afraid to just find other things to do.
Right. Yeah. I just went back. He hit the last time he hit 30 fantasy points was last time he had a 30 fantasy point game was February 5th. So like 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's a while.
Yeah, it's a decent amount of time. He's been just living in that mid-20s range, which like you said, you could live without that if he's going to be that popular. What about Jokic today when you've got him going up against Embiid? Should be a fun matchup to watch. Last time these two teams faced each other, it was a fantastic game. I'll definitely be sitting down to watch this one. But how much exposure do you want? And by the way, Michael Porter Jr. is questionable for this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Jokic is getting so much more ownership than Embiid. Obviously he's the superior player, but and he's a little bit less expensive. But it's just kind of surprising to me that he's getting twice the ownership. They're very similar DFS plays. So I'm happy to get to Jokic, but also happy to just turn some of that into Embiid.
What about the rest of Denver?
I like Murray at 7,900. He's another guard in that range that looks pretty good. He's pulling 10% ownership. If you get to a little bit of Gordon, that's fine. If you're actually going to get 17% ownership to Bruce Brown and only 8 coming into KCP for $100 more, I think you can just play some KCP in place of Brown. Not that he's anything to get excited about, but neither is Bruce Brown.
All right. Weird slate right now, kind of. Really kind of an odd slate. Just looking at how many of these spots are just, I don't know. We've gone through what, 5 games? How many real priority spots are there right now? It seems like a lot of just mix and matching, not a ton of teams that just look, not really any teams right now that look stellar.
Yeah, nothing that we've like really that's really like jumped off the page so far or been, clearly great plays. There's been a lot of guys that kind of are correctly priced or a little bit underpriced, but look pretty similar.
Usually we do these slates in the morning and there's 1 or 2 teams where you're just like, okay, play everybody.
Right, exactly.
Minnesota. I'll get your feedback on this because I don't know, but they're 5-point dogs against Sacramento. This total sitting around 240. De'Aaron Fox questionable for the Kings. Departed game 2 games ago and then didn't play on Saturday, but 5-point dogs. This is the second of a back-to-back for Minnesota. So I do wonder, with Edwards and Towns playing yesterday, and Towns, them reporting that he was sore and he was questionable coming into this one. Do you have any confidence that they're both going to be on the floor tonight?
No, I don't. I think it's pretty likely that we don't see Towns. I do expect to see Edwards.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I mean, Edwards plays pretty much every chance he gets. So my guess would be that Edwards is in and Towns is out. If that's the case, you're likely getting Kyle Anderson moving back into the starting lineup in place of Towns.
How would you want to attack this team then? Like, do we want to get to some Edwards at 8,800? Because this is really one of the best matchups you could get. You're going up against a good offense and a terrible defense in a fast-paced atmosphere.
Yeah, I think Edwards would look really good here. Shooting guard, small forward eligible on DraftKings, so you can get him into the maximum number of roster spots, just shy of $9K in salary, pulling 13% ownership, about a 15.5% chance of being optimal. I think he looks really good here. Great matchup. I also like getting to Gobert. He's only pulling 7% ownership, projected to go a little bit under owned. We saw 34 minutes from him yesterday. In general, we've seen his playing time down a bit recently, where more often than not, he's playing around 30 minutes. But we've also seen increased production from him since Mike Conley joined the team. So it kind of, evens out. And then if you do happen to get a 34-minute game, that's great. Very good matchup going against Sacramento again. So those 2 guys both look good. If you get to a little bit of Kyle Anderson at 6,900, if he is starting in place of Towns, I don't have any issues with that. Conley and McDaniels, I think, are a little bit more difficult to get to, but they're still playing the Kings.
They are still playing the Kings. Yeah. I mean, it's really just one of these spots where nobody's stellar, but if Edwards is going to be as discounted as he is, I think it makes plenty of sense there. Plus, it's just one of these spots that can go crazy. On the Kings side too, if De'Aaron Fox is out, well, then we can have that conversation. Domantas Sabonis is still hovering in that low 10K range, triple-double upside every single night. We got Harrison Barnes, though, at 9%, Fox at 8.7. I don't know if Fox plays today, but we could work through the scenario of whether he does or doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that he does. They pretty much said that last game they held him out as a precaution. I'm assuming that he's back today. And if he is, it just creates a situation where it's a pretty good tournament team. You have Sabonis at sub 10% owned. We know he's playing big minutes if the game's competitive. We know the upside he gives you. De'Aaron Fox is only 8,400, which is a very reasonable price tag for him. Then you get into the wings where you have Barnes, Herter, Murray, Malik Monk at 4,900. They're all fine. Nothing that you're excited about, but I do really like 6% Sabonis or 8% Fox if he's in. If he's out, it does make Kevin Herter look better. It makes Harrison Barnes look a bit better, as well as Keegan Murray. Monk can find some more minutes if Fox is out, and you would probably get Davion Mitchell starting. He's up to 4,500, which if he starts, he still projects as a decent point per dollar value, but he's a pretty bad point per minute guy and not minimum salary anymore.
Favorite play from this game right now? Would it be Edwards?
Yeah, Edwards followed by Gobert.
Okay. Hell yeah. Adam Ashmore, lineup generator, came through big last night. Nice $2,500 cash on FanDuel, about 25x If Cam Johnson didn't suck so much, would have crushed. Yeah, Bridges had like every point for that team yesterday. It was wild. That is awesome, man. Congratulations. 2,500, 25x using the lineup generator, which, by the way, you guys know 50% off for your first week, especially for those of you short on time looking to build some lineups, make life a little bit easier on yourselves. They give you the lineups. We already sort out all the bad ones. We're only feeding you the lineups that are already projected to be towards the top. You get optimal score, you get ownership score, you can lock players, you can swap players, you can do tournament chalky, cash games, whatever it is you want. All that less than $4.48 a week, or less than $4.50 a week, 50% off. Or you rock with us on the new MLB promo. Ain't that right, Jordan? It's only going until the 2nd of April. It's 50% off everything. And that's not just for new users, but existing users as well. Stochastic plus Platinum, it means you get every single sport that we have to offer. All the ones I mentioned when we were talking about Prize Picks, every single sport, okay? To celebrate the return of baseball. You got baseball starting in just 3 days. You got every other sport. And the great thing is you use these tools even if you don't know a sport particularly well, because you're getting spoon-fed all of the data and the ownership and everything, right? So if you're looking to get in and you're new, 50% off everything across the board on the site. You're looking to stay in, and you're an existing user, been paying full price for a while. Here you go. Re-up, get 50% off, and take advantage of it. Lineup generators included in that as well. So are all the other tools. And if you want to get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, you can. It's only good through, I think, the 2nd. So you got a few more days here to take advantage of it. Use the link in the description and in chat. 50% off everything from the top, new and existing users. Pretty great offer with MLB coming up, especially since you don't need to just be new. All right, you can use the promo code MLB is back, but if you click the link, it's just easier. It'll take you right there. All right, where are we at next? Wrap this one up with the final 2 games here. Let you guys go about your day. Come back for deeper dive live before lock, maybe the odd shop as well. Pelicans and Portland. Okay, so I actually got in on this one. I laid the 8.5 on the Pels late last night. Had a feeling it would move because OKC was a 9-point road favorite yesterday. It's at 10.5 now. So get a little closing line value there, hopefully. How do we approach the Pels today going up against a real skeleton crew? And I'm working under the assumption, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong, that the guys who were out last night are not going to play today. And now Watford's questionable as well.
Yeah, I do not think you are wrong. Very reasonable assumption there. So good spot for New Orleans. You have double-digit ownership coming into Ingram and McCollum. No problems with that. Both priced between 8 and 9K on DraftKings. You should get mid to upper 30s in minutes from them as long as the game's competitive. Shouldn't be much defense played by Portland. So really like both of those guys. $7,900 Joe Val pulling 4.5% ownership. He played 31, almost 32 minutes again last game. Would have played more had the game been competitive to the end. So we continue to see big minutes from him. I think that he's another, very similar to like Rudy Gobert, another mid-range center that isn't getting much ownership despite having a very high ceiling. The price tag has certainly adjusted to his recent playing time, but he can still put up a huge game here against this Portland team. So all 3 of those guys look good. I would get to Ingram and McCollum first before Joe Val, just because of opportunity cost at their positions. But really like all 3 of those guys. Other than that, I don't really see much of anything.
Look, I don't want to jinx it or anything, but Jonas Valanciunas, and you just mentioned it, accounting for the blowout where he lost 5 minutes against the Spurs, guy's averaging 33 minutes per game over his last 5.
Yeah, he's playing huge minutes recently.
That game against Charlotte, that was also actually, I just thought about this now. Wait, there was one game where I'm pretty sure he lost significant minutes in that blowout to Charlotte and still played 34. Maybe I'm wrong.
Do you know the date?
Oh, no, I got it right
here.
No,
I got it, 23rd.
He came out with 2 minutes to go, and he still played 34 minutes.
Yeah, and the most recent game against the Clippers, he came out with almost 3 minutes to go and played just shy of 32.
He's pacing 35, 36 minutes over his last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, they've been using him as an actual starting center, and Larry Nance is just playing backup minutes. At some point, that probably changes. I don't know if it's Larry Nance health related. I don't know if it's just, the Pels are fighting to get into the play-in, and they think this is their best lineup right now. It's probably the latter. But from what we've seen recently, like, yeah, there's still the Larry Nance risk that you're going to get a 24-minute Joval game at some point. But based on the rotations we've seen from the Pels right now, I think expecting, 30 minutes or so from Joval is very reasonable.
Another thing to keep in mind, they've won 4 straight. So essentially they're 4-1 since they started doing this. They lost 1 by 2 points. So like this is a formula that's working for them. Granted, a couple easy matchups mixed in there, but they're winning games and they're winning them in blowout fashion right now. So
yeah, right now they're the 8th seed in the West.
Yeah, and I think they're only aren't they pretty close? Aren't they nipping at the heels of some of those teams above them, or am I wrong?
They're a half game behind Minnesota for 7. They're a game behind the Warriors for 6. They're a game and a half behind the Clippers for 5. They're also only a half game up on the Lakers and Thunder for 9 and 10. Only
they have a ton to play for right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if they were to somehow, and I think it's unlikely, but Clippers are without Paul George. Maybe they slide. They just smoked the Clippers. There's a real chance though that they could slide into that 6th spot and avoid the play-in games altogether.
Yeah, I mean, the West is just so tight right now. Like, the Suns are the 4 seed. They're separated from Utah, who is 12th by 4 games.
Wow. Yeah, and they're separated only 2 games from the Pels in 8th.
Right.
OKC, dude, the Suns are 2.5 games up on the Thunder.
Yeah.
Wow.
I took the Thunder at like plus 80,000 to win the title the other day.
How drunk were you?
I was completely sober. I just they're not going to win, but that was a crazy line.
What'd you just sprinkle on it?
Yeah, just put 100 on it.
Okay, see that could be fun.
Yeah, I also took Dagnall to win Coach of the Year at 25-1. Like, he's not going to win it, but he should be better than 1 in 25.
Wait, they were 800-1?
80,000 or 800-1. Yeah.
Dude, that'd be sick. That'd be. I mean, it's not happening, but that would be amazing.
Like, you should never. There's a very good chance they make the playoffs, and you should never be 800-1.
Right. Yeah, I got you. But yeah, the Joval minutes right now are absolutely insane. I wonder what his PRA is for today. That might be a spot I'm looking to get on. I've been betting the over on Joval PRAs over the last 3 games since we saw those minutes come out. Clearly I grin and bearing it because it's a scary one, but he's at dude, he's only minus 205 to double. What? He's only minus 205 to double today. That seems crazy.
Joval is?
Yeah. I might jump on that. Anyway. All right. Let me keep this one rolling. The other side, Portland. Let's assume for a moment that these guys remain out. I don't know if Watford's going to play because he's questionable and exited last night's game with a ankle injury. What are we doing with the Blazers right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're finally to a team that everybody looks good. And I mean, I guess looks good is not the correct way to phrase this, but there's a ton of ownership coming into this team. There's a ton of value to be had here. Drew Eubanks at 4,300, assuming Nurkic isn't playing, projected for 60-something% ownership, 40% chance of being optimal. This is why you're seeing such low ownership on a lot of these mid-range centers that we've mentioned that are, sub 10% owned, is that you're just getting a lot of Eubanks at 4,300. And I don't have any issue with that, especially if Watford's out. They're just getting really thin in the front court. Keon Johnson, 4,300, shooting guard, small forward. He played 21 minutes off the bench yesterday. If Watford is out, you're probably getting more playing time from Johnson, although he still only played about 9-10 minutes in the second half yesterday. Interestingly, they didn't play him alongside Ryan Arcidiacono at all. I don't necessarily think that continues because they can certainly play next to each other, but that is kind of interesting. I don't totally get why he's 46% owned. I think he's a good value, but unless he's starting, I don't think he should be that popular, based on the rotations we saw yesterday. Nas Little at 3,800 likely would get the start if Watford is out. He ended up playing 31 minutes yesterday, started the second half. He's clearly a very good value at 3,800. Sharp's up to 6,200, but does take on a bigger scoring role without any other offensive player on the team. So assuming everybody's out, Shadon Sharp certainly looks good at 6,200. You can get to some knocks Reddish, Thibault, those guys are all fine as well. Same goes for Arcidiacono.
Okay. Damn. Joval minus 185 to double on FanDuel. Maybe I'm missing something. I'll have to dig into that one a little bit further. But
well, you don't think he should be a big favorite to double?
I think he should be a much bigger favorite.
Oh, okay.
The other night he was like minus 330. He's double-doubled in all 5 games since he started playing these minutes too. Like we know that he's what's that?
And I mean, going up against this front court, he could probably do it in like the first half.
You would yeah, right. I don't know. It's possible I'm missing something. I'll have to look into it. But minus 185 is, I don't know, seems appealing. Sir Dwayne Moody, thanks, man. He said, if you play parlays, I definitely recommend the odd shop that Neil and Laffy went into depth with parlay. The Joval, the 20, he had 20 and 19 that game. We were doing some alt lines, trying to ladder points and rebounds up on that. It was actually Ben though. It was Ben and me. But yeah, that shows a lot of fun. If you watch the deeper dive in Live Before Lock, it's on the Odd Shopper channel, our betting channel from 4 to 5. So you can just go do that and segue straight into the deeper dive. Come hang out with us. It is a lot of fun. All right. Ready to wrap this one up? Chicago and the Clippers?
Yep.
All right, let's make it happen. And appreciate you guys. We were over 100 likes before we even hit 1025 today. I forgot to mention that. Been very impressive, and it goes a long way for us. So thank you. And if you haven't done so yet, it just takes a second. We got all 550 people watching. Well, there's a couple out there that may have conveniently forgotten. We forgive you for it. Atone for your sins. All right, let's finish this one out. DeRozan returned last game, so Chicago pretty much healthy here. We have Caruso with a slate that is kind of devoid of value right now, getting 14% ownership. Levine, DeRozan, Vooch, all of these guys pretty low owned. Anybody that kind of jumps off the page to you, or is this really just an underwhelming spot for Chicago?
Do you see the petty shit Lamar Jackson's doing right now?
He requested a trade. Wow.
That is amazing.
Lamar Jackson announces that he requested a trade March 2nd. Schefter followed it up with, I'm assuming this is what you're talking about, right?
Him doing it right as Harbaugh's supposed to talk?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson's announcement came at the exact time Ravens coach John Harbaugh was set to speak to reporters at the league's annual meeting. Oh, man. Wow.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. It's petty as hell, but yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, did they franchise him again? They did, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the details. It's all been a mess. Like, I have no idea what's going on with anything Lamar Jackson related, but I love the timing on that.
There was so much going on in that week period that I get everything confused because so much was happening.
Yeah, I mean, they franchised him with whatever the one is, like, I guess non-exclusive, so that he can. Yeah, they have the right to match offers from other teams, but then no other team has given him an offer. So clearly he doesn't want to play for the Ravens, though. So I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, as far as this game goes, not much that stands out. You're not really getting a lot of ownership coming into anything. Vooch, Levine, DeRozan, all priced between 8,500 and 8,700 on DraftKings. Pretty much where they should be. You're never wrong, or it's never a bad play to get to them. But there's not, they don't look like great values either. The only guy really pulling ownership is Caruso at 3,500. That's kind of been the case a lot recently, and it's just a decent point per dollar projection at that price. But he's another one of those guys where, if he is going to be popular, you don't have to be that concerned about not playing him and just finding alternatives, because it's very unlikely that he actually is somebody you have to have.
All right. On the other side, looking largely underwhelming right now, but maybe you can unearth some gems here that I haven't come across when it comes to the Clippers today. And it should be, looking at this game right now without Paul George, 4-point spread, very underwhelming 220 total. Chicago's been playing slow as shit, man. So anybody that you like here?
Not really. I mean, prices have adjusted too. Kawhi is always a good play here without George. Like, he's only getting 5% ownership. I think that is interesting at 10-1, and he's Ford eligible. So that is one position today where we haven't really talked about, I like this guy, I like that guy. It's been centers, it's been guards. And so, if you go with a little bit different roster construction and you go to Kawhi, if this game's competitive, you're likely getting 37, 38 minutes from him. Certainly has a very high ceiling. You're also likely getting 33, 34 minutes from Westbrook if this game's competitive. He's another good guard play, but there's nothing that stands out as a priority here.
Okay. Damn, 165 likes. We're in business. But guys, one more time too. Jacob mentioned it earlier. If you're in Colorado, Virginia, New Jersey, or Ohio, the link's right there. You bet $1, you get $365 in bonus bets at Bet365. Joe Val's double prop looking kind of good over there. What I would do for what it's worth, because you have to deposit 10 with that link and then just bet $1. And once it settles, you literally have $365. You could lose everything. And at the end of the day, you're down a single dollar. What I would do, just put it on something insane. Put it on something insane to get the bonus bets. And if it does win, you're profiting, because who cares if you lose that dollar? Who cares? You're getting the bonus bets anyway. Put it on just massive long odds so you have yourself a little bit of a sweat and you already know that 365 is coming back to you. Colorado, Virginia, New Jersey, Ohio, best promo you're ever going to get. But anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out. We'll see you in the chalkboard throughout the day. Greg and I shooting the shit in there with everyone, building the community. Follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS, me at Lafayette_D. And as always, shout out to Jordan Klein for producing this one. We'll see you guys back here for the next one. Peace.